So the Seattle Seahawks let 4 starters go. 4 starters from the Super Bowl team, let them go. And yet, they paid JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, early, a year before they had to. And they just set a new NFL wide receiver contract record. So why did they pay him early? And why did they let 4 guys go? Well, let's just concentrate on JSN. Because a lot of young players are productive, but teams don't sign them a year early. Why did they do it with JSN? No drama, no big ego. He is what every CEO is seeking. He is what every GM is seeking. He gets along with teammates, quarterbacks, coaches, coordinators. He never steps in it. Okay? So many young athletes get terrible advice. JSN, huge talent, no drama. It's like Amon-Ra St. Brown. You don't have to worry about him. You don't have to babysit him. He's a grown-up. Puka Nacua, by the way, is great. But he has stepped in it multiple times with the Rams. The Rams are going to take a wide receiver, I believe, early in this draft, just in case he steps in it again. What you want to be, and I love Puka, and so do the Rams. Maybe he should stream less. Okay, this is why Steph Curry is a multi-decade building foundational block. Ego and drama always punctures talent. So you want to be Steph Curry, JSN, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'll give Justin Jefferson credit. He hasn't had the best quarterback play in the last year. No complaints. Shows up. Highly productive. Justin Jefferson's numbers should be 30% better than they are now. He doesn't complain. He's never had his Joe Burrow. So this is a prime example of Seattle had to make big decisions. And where do they set the record with JSN? You think it's just talent? It's not just talent. No babysitting him, no drama. He cares about the right stuff. He carries himself like a professional. Sorry, it matters. See, Larry Fitzgerald, he just lasted. That's what everybody's looking for.
I knew this take was coming. I saw it from a mile away. Called it. Absolutely called it. One of the biggest points of agreement between me and Colin, and we see eye to eye on a whole lot, is where we diverge on this specific topic. He has this recurring argument he brings up constantly, complete with the same graphic he always pulls out, the list of highest paid edge rushers, the highest paid wide receivers. His stance is that you simply don't do it. You avoid paying those guys. His evidence is always the same group: Ja'Marr Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, DK Metcalf, Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin, and the idea that teams paying those kinds of deals never end up winning. And my reaction has always been the same: that's ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. So the moment I saw JSN land that massive contract, I knew exactly how Colin would react. I told myself, he's going to be on board with this one. It's the same pattern we saw with the edge rusher conversation around Max Crosby. Colin went on at length about why the Cowboys were right to move on from Micah Parsons, arguing that committing that much money to him wasn't a winning formula. He made the case, mentioning Myles Garrett and others, that those contracts don't translate to success. Yet there he was, turning around and saying you absolutely need to go get Max Crosby. And I'm sitting there thinking, what's the actual number here? But that's a separate discussion, separate from personality and all that nuance. Because at the end of the day, of course you pay a player like Jackson Smith-Njigba. You all know how I feel about JSN. I was the one saying, before this was even remotely on anyone's radar, that Sam Darnold and JSN were going to form one of the premier quarterback wide receiver duos in the league. People thought I was out of my mind back then. They had no idea what I was talking about. But that connection turned out to be something special, if I'm allowed to say so myself. But here's the reality. When you have a talent like Ja'Marr Chase or Justin Jefferson, even if JSN has his moments, maybe he's a little difficult at times, always talking on the sideline, exuding that confidence in himself, you still pay him. You pay him because he's that exceptional. He's that unique. So when you're having this conversation, you can't over-index on personality. Now, if you're looking at a DK Metcalf, an AJ Brown, a Brandon Ayuk, those guys who are constantly stirring things up, to the point where it becomes exhausting, that's a different calculation. Even someone like Puka Nacua, who the Rams are clearly all in on, I think there's maybe that slight undercurrent of wondering if he's one incident away from something that makes you question things. Even then, I still think you stick with him because his talent is that rare. But it's still something you have to monitor. That's all. But this move? This is what you have to do. This is simply how the league operates. And honestly, this is what makes the NFL so compelling. The Seahawks had to move on from several starters to afford JSN's extension and other contracts. And I wouldn't want to live in a version of the NFL where a team can just easily part with a JSN while keeping everyone else intact. Obviously it's not a strict either/or scenario, but to put it simply, I also don't want to see a league where it's easy to give JSN this kind of money and still retain everybody. It's supposed to be challenging. It's supposed to be difficult. That's what makes the NFL so incredible. Colin was leading into this segment talking about how talent has its limits, its necessary conditions for winning, and how it's all important. Then he noted that Seattle moved on from 5 starters to pay JSN. And that's exactly the point. Talent and the guys on the field do have their limits. It's about coaching and management. It's about the decisions you make. We can all sit at home and act like we'd know exactly how to navigate a roster through an off-season. We'd say, we'll extend JSN for $168.6 million, let Kenneth Walker go, handle this, handle that. But that's the point, you have to actually know how to manage a team. You have to understand how to make these types of decisions. And if you're going to pay JSN, you do it now. Most likely, the contract will age favorably. He wants it now too. So you take care of him. You pay him. It sets a precedent for other players, it gives them something to strive for, something to acknowledge, to respect, to understand. If I perform at this level here, Seattle is going to take care of me. So you handle it immediately. This is very much the Philadelphia Eagles approach. You take care of it early, and over time, the deal looks even better. Doing it now also allows you to be more aggressive over the next couple of years. Then you look at the alternative, like the Dallas Cowboys. They kick the can down the road, and suddenly they're trapped. They end up in a situation where they're scrambling, asking themselves what to do next. So I'm in favor of this approach. You could have made the argument that Seattle should say no, that they shouldn't do the deal, and maybe then they'd keep some of those other players. I'm not saying it's a simple binary where it's either keep those players or don't pay JSN. But it's clear that choosing this route gives you less short-term flexibility, and that's a trade-off. But my philosophy on these teams is consistent, it's not about going back-to-back. It's about the decisions you make right now that position you to build a roster capable of winning a Super Bowl within the next 3 years. It's not about declaring a win-now window and going all in. It's about looking at your team as it exists today and asking, what decisions do I need to make to build a Super Bowl roster? Not, we have a Super Bowl roster. Not, we just won a Super Bowl. I don't care about what happened behind me. I know we won, I've got the ring, it's secure in a vault. That's not my focus. My focus is the team in front of me right now. I'm evaluating the players, the ages, the contracts. A couple of coaches just left, I need to hire new ones. I'm assessing how far we are from being a championship team and what moves I need to make. It's not about saying we have a window right now. It's about looking at the current roster and deciding what to do moving forward. That's how you operate. That's the kind of decision-making you employ. And that's exactly what I feel the Seattle Seahawks are doing. It's a smart approach. Especially if you're going to move on from some young talent. I think we're still in a place where the running back conversation is divided. Do you need an elite back or not? That pendulum seems to swing back and forth every week in the NFL. But if you're moving on from defensive talent, that's where you're trusting Mike McDonald, you're trusting the draft process. If you move on from a running back, you acknowledge it's a nice luxury but you're confident you can manage without it. But what Seattle knows is this, Sam Darnold is their quarterback, JSN is their wide receiver. They have a strong connection. JSN is a great leader on this team. So the approach is, we're not going to play games. We know we want him here for the long haul. So we're going to handle business now. We're not going to overcomplicate things. Just look at what Dallas did. They complicated everything. with CD Lamb, with Dak Prescott, if you remember, there were real takes floating around. People were saying Jerry Jones was going to pressure Dak into a pay cut. That they wanted him to struggle, to make things difficult. There was all sorts of wild speculation. Dak had a no-trade clause, maybe he moves on, all of it. And in the end, he still got the highest paid contract at the time, $60 million. Because that was always the plan. There was no reason to play any of those other games. Same with CD Lamb. And make no mistake, they wanted to sign Micah Parsons too. That was the intention. But Jerry Jones did the entire process backward, backed himself into a corner, and made everything messy. He made the culture messy. He frustrated the players. And then they ended up trading Micah too late, playing catch-up, legitimately playing catch-up. That's how the Seahawks stay ahead. That's how you stay ahead. Those are just my thoughts, and I'd genuinely love to hear yours. What do you all think about JSN's extension, $168.6 million, a record-breaking $42.2 million per year? Sounds pretty good to me. I'd happily take just the $0.2 million per year and be perfectly content. But let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment, whether you agree with me or disagree. Either way, let's get some discussions going. Let's get into a few debates. But ultimately, let's make sure we're having fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to have you be part of it. I want to build something we all genuinely feel connected to, something we're truly excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to making that happen. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, it really helps with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much.